and I've been doing therapy for about 11 years. And along the way, the Lord has taught me a process of helping restore internal cohesion within people. So if you think of how many organs you have, phalanges, hormones, there's a million different processes that make your physical body work. You also have a soul, and within that, it is more complicated than we think. Many times we treat ourselves like a common bicycle with willpower, trying to overcome every obstacle and annoying behavior, and we sit at our desk and we procrastinate, and we think about anything else like laundry instead of doing the very thing we're supposed to be doing. So I know that feeling very, very well. And a couple years ago, about 7 years ago, I was working at a clinic. And during that time, I was doing a lot of dreaming. And so I got a big binder, and I wrote down my dreams and said, you know, Lord, I'd love to own my own business one day. And so time had passed, I'd forgotten about that, and then an opportunity presented itself. And somebody came up and said, hey, would you consider joining our co-op where we share the overhead, but you'll have your own business? And of course, I wasn't thinking about that dream in the moment. I was like, that's an interesting opportunity. I felt excitement, but I also felt fear, insecurity, self-doubt, not sure if I could do it. And where I was at was very comfortable. I went to work, I got a paycheck, it was easy, I didn't have any responsibility besides caring for my patients. And then, now having to have the risk and the malpractice and the insurance and everything involved in being a business owner, I'm sure many of you know, that it was a lot. And so I felt myself have this simultaneous excitement for the next step, but also this insecurity and fear and procrastination. So initially, I told the man, no, I don't want to do it, I don't think it's a wise time. And I want to encourage you to second guess the times that you shut down an opportunity that comes to you. Yes, there are opportunities that are not good, and close those doors. But there are also times where inside of you, insecurity and fear and different self-states within you will also shut down an opportunity that may be a blessing in disguise. Most things don't come in a way that we expect or the package that we expect. And so, with all that fear and insecurity, fortunately I had a good mom who told me, Shannon, you should really think about this. If you stay where you're at, you're always kept. If you go out on your own, you could fall on your face, but at least you have the opportunity to, sky's the limit. You know, you can grow your practice, you can see more people, and you can actually benefit from the work instead of giving all your paycheck away. And so, along the way, I finally got up the courage and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Have you ever felt that excitement, like you know you're doing your thing, like your heart is excited, you're thrilled, and there's all these opportunities, and then everything falls out from under you, right? Bad things happen and you've got this momentum, and then it just kind of crashes. The clinic I was working at, I gave them a heads up. I was like, I'm going to give you a month notice to know that I'm going to be leaving. I want to have a muffin party. I want this to be such a great departing. I'm going to give words of affirmation to everyone because that's my personality. And so they said, well, thank you, and we're actually letting you go today.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I don't have clients for my new business, and awkward, and 2 weeks of nothing. And so I was very scared and very nervous. And I'll encourage you that there's these times that opportunities come, and at the same time, a discouragement, something might hit you out of the blue. But to not be discouraged, to let yourself process it, and that's part of restoring self-cohesion, is there's many self-states within you. The soul is a little more intangible. It's hard to think of like organs and liver and spleen and how you have all those body parts that all work together to make your body properly function. Your soul has many parts of self. So kind of like this diamond, you have many sides to you, and those facets make you complex. You're aggressive, you're a go-getter, you're an achiever, you're also nurturing and soft and playful. You have different sides of your aspect of your personality. And hopefully you're nurturing with the right family members and you're aggressive in getting your goals for your work. We want each side of our personality to flow properly. Along that diamond, each facet is supposed to mature into a cohesive state. But we live in a painful world where there's trauma and there's bad things that happen. And your brain protects you. You have a soul that has defense mechanisms that protects you from being aware of all that trauma. Shock denial is the first thing that you ever go through when something painful happens. So you're unaware of how much it hurts you at the time. So the majority of people that I meet with, they say, oh yeah, I don't know, that didn't really affect me. And I'm like, well, it may have affected you more than you realize. And there's thoughts that lead to emotions, and that stuff can get trapped inside, and there's energy inside to all of your emotions. And it's like a part of you will take that trauma inside. And I use the word low-case trauma. It doesn't have to be some horrific rape or assault or a car accident. It could be something that made you feel shame or humiliated or scared or failure, not good enough. Any of those life experiences, it's like a part of you, your little soul, has taken that into the unconscious. Now don't worry, this is not multiple personality, it's not crazy. We all do this. This is a fascinating part of how God's made us. We're very complex. But a part of you can stay regressed, and that part of you is still holding the emotion, the pain, the turmoil, any burdens that that event carried. And it's almost like that part of you stays stuck, or what's called regressed, at that age of maturity. And it's like that part of you is frozen, still operating based on fear. You have two fundamental states. You have a physiological state of peace and GABA, the neurochemical that makes you feel chill. I think of it like grandma. It's very relaxing, it's very soothing. That's the part of your brain you want to be doing business in. And then you have the fear state. One turns off the other. They're inhibitory of the other. So when cortisol floods your body, kind of like it's filling me right now, when cortisol fills your body, your limbic system, the emotional brain, will hijack you, and you will make less awesome decisions because they're based on fear and reaction rather than investment and proactive. So the fear state, anywhere where you have fear, whether conscious or unconscious, is still living reactive rather than proactive. And again, these opportunities may come in your life, little like investments or stepping out on your own, making your own blog or a podcast or something that's exciting to you, a dream that's been bubbling up in your heart. But if any part of you is still holding fear from the past, that part of you is kind of like at a default level. If you think of a computer, it's like it's a minimized browser window. You're not consciously thinking about it, and yet it's still affecting you at a subconscious level. So that part is still releasing fear signals. So that's that feeling of being excited. I want to go towards something. My heart feels pulled toward it. But at the same time, there's a part of me that feels resistance. And now this is tricky because it doesn't always come with like a little name tag of like, I'm afraid of rejection, right? It comes out as procrastinating. It comes out as pulling our feet. It comes out as self-doubt and these negative critical thoughts to get you to disqualify yourself so that you don't have rejection, you don't have failure, because now you can stay safe in your comfort zone. So this part of you is trying to protect you. And what I hear most people in similar kind of self-sabotage talks is they'll say, willpower, overcome that fear, don't do that anymore. Like as if self-talk is going to change that. How many of us have tried to talk ourselves out of anxiety and fear and ruminating and insomnia? It does not go away with willpower. You need to know the finesse of how your soul is made. You are more like a Maserati than a bicycle. You're very complex. So you have to spend time stewarding your soul. The only way that you turn off cortisol is through reassurance and security. When you can get a hug, which releases oxytocin, when you can get somebody to listen and care and validate, and you may have to coach your friends because this is not part of culture. Most people say, but you're awesome, don't worry about it, don't think about it. That's not helpful. You actually need somebody to just be like, I'm really sorry, and I hate that that's happened to you. And the majority of what I do in therapy is I sit with people and I'll take the place of somebody who has hurt you and who has said something or done something that was unfair and unjust. And most of the time, those people are never going to repair. They're never going to say sorry. And so we have that pain that just sits in our heart. And yes, we forgive, and yes, we let go, but it's never been made right. And it's like there's a part of you that's still holding the legitimacy of that pain. And I don't think we're made to just sweep that under the rug. We can do it for a while, but as business women, you can only sprint at life for so long until cogs in the wheel are going to start slowing you down and you're going to become sluggish. You're going to not want to go to work. The thing that made you come alive is now like, ugh, humdrum. Kind of like a computer. Like every time something's new, your battery is fresh, you're excited, you have lots of bandwidth, and then we have all these browser windows that we keep open and we never resolve things. If you don't go back and resolve it, even if you didn't think it affected you at the time, odds are good it did. Shock denial will tell you, I'm good. It insulates you from pain. And then you have to go back and go, I wonder if that did make me sad, angry, upset, pissed off, aggression, whatever you might have felt. And when you do that, now you're offering, it's kind of like you're maximizing that browser window and you're making it valid. And you're saying that's okay that you feel like that. The majority of what makes our soul unrest, anxious, scared, afraid, worried, perfectionistic, is really this deep root of feeling unwanted, unloved, insecure, less than, inferior, all these feelings that are very vulnerable. But we can't walk around like that, right? We have to put on this bold, confident face, be excited about our product or our service, tell everyone how great it is. And you want to do that from a genuine place and not having to stuff down all the insecurity and the anger and the upset. And when you find yourself easily frustrated at people, that means you probably have anger and frustration. Not today, but somewhere in your past. And there's no actual trash can. So a part of you is still holding on to all that for you. And it makes us amazing. It makes us able to adapt in life. But without going back, you are literally becoming more sluggish, and your soul is not able to process at the same speed that you think you should be. And then we get frustrated, right? Like willpower, like do more. Don't feel like this. Make it stop. Don't have those feelings anymore. The majority of people come in my office and they say, why am I feeling like this? Where is this coming from? They're so confused. I don't believe in crazy. So I think if you have a reaction inside of you, that you should listen to it. That you should make a date, and I call it a board meeting, where you sit down and you start processing with each side of your personality. So metaphorically, if you think of it like you have an HR in business, right? Think of you have an HR part of your soul. That part of you is doing its best to make sure that you get rest and break and vacation and fun and Sabbath. How many times, me included, do I sit and eat at my desk and never stop and go, 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 or I just skip meals because I'm constantly going? And then I have these thoughts of like, I want to go on vacation, or I'm going to call somebody, or I'm going to text somebody. And I'm like, squirrel, where are these thoughts coming from? And I get frustrated, and then I try to hunker down even more. If instead, kind of like sharpening the axe, if instead we stop and we go, well, gosh, I guess I should pay attention to, is there a part of me that's letting me know, white flag, I need rest, you're overworking me. Your system will start to let you know, but it doesn't come with a name tag. It's not like you need to take a rest right now. It'll be squirrel thoughts. If you think of it, your soul is trying to get back to a place of homeostasis, just like blood pressure or any other state within your system, your soul has that as well. So that's why people who are overworked, overstressed, over-anger, over-anxious, whatever, they will all of a sudden start having compulsion behaviors, or they've been alcohol-free for so long, and then all of a sudden, those old compulsions and addictions will come back. One of the reasons that might be, if you have run your default system at such a low, like you have unconscious pain, or you've been stressed, or payroll, employee drama, you've got all these things going on, there is a literal drain on your system, and you're not 100%. So you're not fluid the way you're supposed to, and you're not showing up the way you want to. And instead of just putting on a happy face, we need to sit down and actually process what in me might be sad and discouraged. I've been working on this talk because it's a book that I'm working on, and yesterday, all of a sudden, I just started feeling scared. And I'm like, no, ma'am. No, you're not going to feel like this. You are going to be brave. You know your stuff. You're excited. And then I was like, oh, yeah, this is kind of what I'm talking about. I should probably practice what I preach, right? So I went on a walk, and you need to find the thing that helps you process your emotions. Some people, it might be sitting and journaling. Some people, it might be being in nature. For me, it really helps to go on a walk because it feels forward moving, or some people drive, and it's kind of like your brain just goes on a vacation and things surface. If you don't see that as a waste of time, but you see it as a priority, because you are only as good as your soul is healthy. Most things in work can be outsourced. You are the only thing that cannot be outsourced in your dream of fulfilling your destiny. So if you're not prioritizing you and going on that walk, going on that drive, journaling, processing, doing whatever you need to say, you know what, that fight with my husband this morning, it may have affected me more than I realized. And we're really good at compartmentalizing, and it's a blessing that we are. There's a great capacity to put things away and not think about it and do the task at hand. But you can't stay at that pace. That's a sprint mindset, that's not a marathon. There's about a statistic that most businesses fail within the first 5 years of business. And the cited reason is leadership malfunction. That if you have a sprint mindset where you're like, I am just going to muscle through, I'm going to put my head down, I am not going to let anything derail me, there is a Sabbath for a reason. There is a need for rest. Another part of you we'll call the controller. Think of your controller as the part of you that's finance, knows your numbers, knows predicting the market. That part of you could conceptualize as the part of you that anticipates fear and bad things. In health, this part of you helps you not get in cars with strangers, helps you not take candy from weird men, it helps you not walk into traffic. There is a good part of having healthy fear to not walk off buildings. That's a good thing. But in unhealth, this part of you will hold all that fear of different hurts and disappointments. And like yesterday, where I'm walking around feeling scared, I had to be present with that part of me. And here's the cool thing about your brain. Your brain doesn't know that much of a difference between reality and imagination. So whatever you visualize releases the similar neurochemicals as if you're actually doing it in real life. So one thing I found really helpful is I will picture in my imagination, not that I have multiple personalities, but I have a part of me that's a scared little girl that probably got scared, anxious, afraid when I was little, and I use my imagination and I picture hugging that part of me. Brain-wise, we know it releases oxytocin, which helps chill you out. It's called the cuddle hormone, and it makes you feel safe. Going back to cortisol, that's the fear, fight, flight, or freeze in most females, right? We just kind of, mind goes blank, I have no thoughts, they're gone. When you have fight, flight, or freeze, you know you're in a cortisol state. So if you can just stop, take some really deep breaths to tell your central nervous system, I'm safe, I'm okay. And then if you say, hey, scared part of me, it's okay to be scared. I'm not going to give in to fear, because fear is completely different than scared. Scared is a legitimate emotion of going like, hey, this is really important to you. And the more important and the closer it is to your destiny in your heart, the more scared you're going to get, because the stakes are higher. If you're doing something you don't really care about, it's no big deal. But if it's something that's wired into you of what you are called to do, you will find yourself getting scared. And instead of getting mad or giving into it or just continuing to do laundry for days and cleaning and doing everything else, just sit down or go for a walk and visualize it's okay to be scared. Visualize hugging that little girl inside. We use our imagination, that it's okay to have these feelings. And then you do the next step. And you say, what today might be reminding my unconscious, that part of me kind of stuck back here, what might it be reminding me? That people are going to reject me, that it's a whole group of women staring and they're going to laugh and point and throw things at me, like in second grade. But you look back in your past and you go, what maybe is triggering this part of me to associate fear response? We are classical conditioning beings. So the first time you were around a dog, if it was a sweet puppy, and now you have an association that puppies are so great. Other people have been around a puppy, and that puppy bit them, and it's a horrible association. You don't have to think about it. The rest of your life, no matter what dog you're around, your central nervous system will go, fight, flight, scared, right? Because of the past experience will cause your soul to respond as if you're in that past situation. There's many things that we've walked through, and we've minimized them, and that's great for a time. But part of being marathon successful in business is slowing down and going, hey God, I wonder if that did impact me more than I thought. And I wonder if maybe there's some thoughts and some feelings and experiences that I didn't really realize at the time that maybe I need to go back and process. The stages of grief are pretty simple and everybody has a different opinion, but if you boil them down, you should be sad when you get hurt, and you should be angry that you got hurt. And then you might carry some false responsibility, what was my fault, what was theirs, and then trying to make sense of it, which is bargaining. So everything that we walk through, good or bad, we have an emotional reaction to. And so when you can get slow and just create time that is investment into your soul and go, I wonder what that might be triggering. I wonder what part of me might be feeling that fear, that insecurity, that anger, the feeling of rejection or being unwanted. These reactions that we're like, I wish that would stop, and we get so annoyed at ourselves. But if instead you're loving your soul and creating an opportunity for repair, and repair is, and I can say it to myself, you can say it to yourself, hey, on behalf of XYZ person, I am angry that that happened to you and it's not okay. That was wrong, it was unjust, and there's no excuse, and you didn't deserve that. You can offer that to yourself. That part of your soul needs to be validated. It's kind of like the check engine light on your car. Most of us, I don't know about you, I want to ignore it. I want to put paper over it. I want it to go away. I don't want to think about it. But that check engine light is actually what gives you awareness that something needs to be addressed. So the next time you have a glitchy response and you're like, why am I acting like this? Why am I procrastinating? Why am I easily irritated at everybody and annoyed or angry or tired, or I don't want to go to work and Monday is hell? The next time you're feeling like that, instead of just giving in, that would be a good time to take a date with yourself. And that would be a great time to let the Lord minister to your heart and even visualize Him saying, hey, I'm really angry that happened to you, and that's not okay. That you can offer it, you can let God offer it, you can ask a friend to say that to you.
I had something happen recently, and I had very nice friends that were like, oh, well, that's too bad, but you'll be fine. I was like, God, I'm raw. It hurts. Don't invalidate me right now. Do it later when I'm putting my walls back up. And so I had another friend, and I coached her, and I was like, could you just say that that sucks and it was wrong? And she did, and it was like, oh. And I just felt this wave of relief. And the next time I was in a similar situation, I didn't feel those trigger responses. I didn't feel the insecurity and the fear of being rejected or unwanted or whatever. We're not as crazy and weird as we think. We just have to learn how we're made. And I wish that there was a user manual for the soul, but there's not yet. So until then, I just want you to appreciate and recognize that check engine light. Instead of just covering it over and willpowering yourself to make it go away, it would be a really good time to stop and prioritize opening the hood of the car, metaphorically, and saying, hey soul, what do you need to talk about? What's burdening your heart? And then visualize perfect love, like living waters just washing over your heart. By doing that, your brain will then release, oh, it's safe now, and it will start releasing GABA, the gamma chill neurochemical, and it will turn off cortisol, the stress hormone. You can readjust your internal world very easily if you understand what's going on. And most things, we try to force it to go away instead of validating. That's something that needs to be paid attention to. The fact that we have nerve endings help us not put our hand on a hot stove and just keep it there as it burns up, right? Your soul has similar ones. Irritability, cranky, annoyed, frustrated, sad, emotional, moody, all these things. And another thing about females, when you are PMSing and you're all that stuff, your hormones, your serotonin level goes down. And so people go, oh gosh, I'm just PMSing, I have all these emotions. But actually what's happening is your serotonin, which is like a buffer that makes you unaware, blissfully unaware of what's actually going on. When that lowers, you're actually more aware of what's down there. So like when I was a kid, I had a lot of depression. So when my PMS cycle would come, I'd be like, I hate myself, you know? And then later, after lots of good therapy and lots of doing this stuff, now it's like, I love puppies. Oh my God, babies are cute. Like I still cry because the emotions are still there. But I'm not doing it out of whatever the abundance of the heart, right? Like whatever's already down there will come. So when you're emotional and you're stressed, times of transition and adjustment also are key times. That stuff that's already down there that we've walled off, it will especially come up when you're emotional, when you haven't gotten sleep, and use that to your advantage. When you don't have your serotonin happy bubble, it's great to say, hey, I know my cycle's coming. That would be a really great time to invest into some self-care. Take a bubble bath with Epsom salt, you know, lots of lavender, and then spend time going, soul, how are you doing? And you just picture like there's a kid inside, metaphorically. The reason you do that is mirror neurons. When you see somebody care about you and love you, then it tells your brain to care about you and love you. Most of us are a dictator toward ourselves, where we go, oh, stop it, don't do that. You can't be worried about that. Be confident. It's okay. It's going to work out. We are so critical. We're so negative, and we're so hard on ourselves. You would go to a psychologist, and they would say, break up with that person. Don't let them in your life. And yet, that is us. We treat ourselves horribly, and then are surprised when we get worse instead of better. Mirror neurons, when I visualize this anger and disappointment and frustration, even if it's at myself, you are actually doing that to yourself, and it will cause you to become more irritable, defeated, deflated, and worn down. Think of another part of you as the research and development. That's a department inside of a business, right? So the research and development you think is your dreaming part of you. It's the visionary. It's the part that God's given you creative insight for the future. But if my fear part of me, or my low self-esteem part of me, my negative self-talk, or my talking situations down, if those override, then that little research development part of you doesn't really get to dream. And I believe when I wrote down my dream to be a businesswoman, that God heard that. We write the vision, make it plain, that the messenger can run with it. That there's something that happens when we let ourselves dream. But it's courageous to dream. It's scary to dream. It's hard. What if I get my hopes up and I get disappointed? What if it doesn't work out? Fear of failure is super normal, but so is fear of success. What if I'm successful and I can't maintain it? What if everybody sees that I'm an imposter and I really don't, I just got it by luck instead of actually being a good businesswoman, or whatever your dream might be? All of us have this internal structure, and I don't know what yours is, but I am encouraging you to prioritize taking the time to spend time investing in yourself. If you are kind and you steward your soul well, you will see yourself flourish. You will see the research development, visionary part of you emerge. If you are critical and hard and negative, you will get that inside. And then you're going to project that everybody else feels that way about you. Because whatever's inside, I'm going to perceive that in the reality around me. There are people that don't like me. I know it's shocking. But if I walk around believing that they don't like me, it doesn't matter how much they like me, right? Because I've already made a belief system. And so with this part, I will say, every part of you has beliefs. And you may, as the CEO, conscious mind, have a belief that you are a powerful, wonderful, strong, great woman. But if a part of you carries a belief that you're less than, or shame, or insecurity, even if it was from when you were 6 years old or something super tiny that you don't even remember, you will constantly be at feud with yourself, an internal, and that's what self-sabotage is. Where I am, as the CEO, going forward, I'm excited, I'm passionate, I have a vision, and yet there's a part of you, if you have any department inside of a business going rogue, you're not going to be 100%. You're going to be a house divided, and a house divided cannot stand. So I'm encouraging you to love yourself enough to see you as the biggest priority. Outsource everything else. There's house cleaners for that. There's people who can do accounting or whatever you need. You are your biggest asset. And I would love to encourage you to be brave by doing the work, and then brave to dream and to believe that God has great plans, and if you'll partner with him. And yes, I did say yes to that guy, and I do have my own practice, and it's phenomenal, and I love it. So I know that there's doors that are going to be opening to you as well, and opportunities, and so I hope that you say yes. And I hope that when the internal resistance comes, that you work through it instead of just shutting opportunities down. Thank you.